All right, so hello, visionaries, and welcome to today's amazing video that we're going to be doing. I'm going to be um, interviewing the beautiful Michelle Barr, and she's going to be sharing with us about her journey through the 4 radical transformations. And so I'm just going to hand it off to you, Michelle. Tell us a little about yourself and how you got to human design and found your way into the 4 radical transformations.
Great. Thank you so much. I'm really excited to talk about this because human design came into my awareness and in my life about 5 years ago. And it started with the basics that we learn, our type, our strategy, our authority. And that alone clicked a lot into place for me because I'm a projector. And I've been big in the coaching world for a lot of years. I'm a spiritual business expert and spiritual business coach and a speaker and a teacher and an author. And I was being coached by a lot of generators and even a manifester. And I would say, I'm so coachable. I know what to do. Show me what to do. And it wouldn't make sense to me when I couldn't translate that and create the same results until I found out. And one thing that really helped me so much was the whole idea of the projector and the invitation, and also the energy of the projector. Layers and things you learn about yourself. And so at the time when you sent me an email telling me about the 4 radical transformations, I felt like this is important and this is a next big piece, because over the years I've just taken each little piece of human design and I'm always interested in how can I apply it to my business for success, and then also how can I apply it to my life.
Yep.
And when we started with the 4 radical transformations, this is one of the first things that I wrote down because it was like the light bulb starting to go off the first time our group met. And you said this journey of the 4 radical transformations is the process of eating correctly as yourself, living in the right environment, viewing the world in the way you were designed to, and being motivated by your truth and not your transference. And I started understanding how this level of looking at these things would really make changes in my life. And we talked about as a group when you first started guiding us through this, that we came at this as an experiment. So that's what I loved about it. We were learning the intel from you, but then we were applying it in our lives in real time. And we had months for each one of those to do that. And it was so powerful when I started going through the journey and added one on top of the other. And for me, some of them I found that I could really trust myself because over the years I had already started applying them. And then others I could see where I was getting stuck at different times in my life and in my business by not being true to these. So there was so much information there in all of that. And then as we pulled it all together, one built on the other.
Yeah. Oh my God. I love listening to you share about your journey, and particularly coming from this coaching industry, which is really my background too. And I mean, what brought me to human design was, how much I invested in the coaching industry and
Yes.
then looking back on it and the frustration of, and the bitterness really of like, why hasn't it worked for me? And then this incredible aha of discovering I was a projector. And really, it was just such a huge relief. And everything really started to unfold. And so, why I'm so passionate about bringing to the coaching industry, because you're going to see a lot of manifesting generators leading this because of, they have the energy, but it's really the projector that's here to lead. And really, we're designed for coaching. And really, we are designed to take that leadership role come 2027. And so when I hear you talking, I'm just like, yeah, we're doing it. It's time. It's like the doors are opening for the projector. And that makes me feel so excited. And really so fun to hear about how this came forward in the four radical transformations through your business, because that's the practical stuff that really gets me excited as well. So share a little bit about that, how this four radical transformations came through your business and added to your success and the way you're running things and the way you're, because you are here to do you're already doing big things and you're here to do even more bigger things. So share a little bit about how this next layer, because human design is that layer upon layer upon layer of expansion. So how did this next layer kind of serve up to your purpose?
This journey that we just took through the radical transformations was so much about the vehicle, how we're eating, how we're feeding the vehicle, how we're digesting life, and then the environments we're in, and then the way we see the world and what we respond to. So for me, how that helps me, not just in my life, but in my business, is because the vehicle is what I do as a coach. We sell ourselves and then we deliver through this vehicle, and everything comes through that. And it's kind of like getting in there and really fine tuning. I felt like, you don't know that you have this vehicle that's this super sports car, this high performance vehicle, and you're just treating it like a regular car. And then it's like, no, it does all these things when you give it the right fuel and so just starting out with the first one, which is our primary health system, or our digestion, our determination. It was so fascinating to see that the way that I eat was right for me, and to understand it even more. And then people who were different in their design were saying, oh, I can't even listen to you say that because I could never eat that way. And we all had that understanding with each other, but it was right for each person. And it helped me see down to our environments and the way we're digesting food and life. Human design is so specific. And the more we can fine tune the vehicle. And so mine is nervous, and how that would play out for me is I like to go into a crowded, loud restaurant with a book, and I've got to be watching something or reading something while I eat. I prefer to eat at a party or where there's a lot going on. And there were people saying, oh, I have to eat in the quiet at a table by myself with nothing else. And that sounded awful to me. And something you brought up with that really, again, shed light on this. In our culture in the United States, and in a lot of cultures, we were raised that everyone sits down at the table together. Everyone eats a certain way in a certain environment at a certain time. And there are people at that table that is not serving well. And you eat certain food. There were people who needed to eat cold food, hot food, one food at a time. And here we were forced to eat everything on your plate with this going on. And it really showed me that the way that I did it is what served me.
Yeah. Yeah, and that is interesting how we sort of that, when you're children, you're going to sort of eat how you're designed to eat. But, it's kind of conditioned right out of you when your mom or your school is like, no, 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 you should eat this way, or sit down while you're eating. That's a big one for kids. Sit down while you're eating. And yeah, the anxious eaters, they are meant to stand up while they eat or do whatever. And yeah, it's very exciting to finally give yourself the freedom to eat the way you're designed to, and to give everyone in your household that freedom too.
Right, to understand that there were people who are meant to eat standing up, people eating small meals versus big meals, and giving us permission to do it that way. Because I found that as I got busier and working on my business, that I needed to eat the way I needed to eat for my nervous system and for my business. And I was following that, but other people would have done it differently or said, why don't you do this or that? But it was actually giving me what I needed. And
Yeah.
then one that I really loved was environment, because again, I could go back and see everywhere, especially over the past years. I've had my business now 13 years, and my environment is shores. And the way, when you bring all the different aspects in, it's, you were talking about how it's where one landscape goes into another. And so I went back and I said, over all these past years, I lived where there's water. I lived on a creek. I lived on a lake with a pool. I had a pool with a pond. And then when I made this last move, I was not moving near a natural body of water, but in my design, it's actually about man-made. And I picked the neighborhood that has 7 lakes, so that there's water around me. And I was out walking this morning with my husband, and I kept saying, walk me by all the lakes, because I need that water and I want that water. And then I go to the water a lot. And at the same time, again, I live right now where I live in the suburbs, where it's almost country, but I live on the edge of the city. I can't live out in the middle of nowhere. And then I lived in the foothills in Colorado, and the mountains were right there. And I was able to see that I do really well when I've surrounded myself with the right environments. And here's the thing, and you'll know, because you're an entrepreneur and you've lived this life many years. A lot of people feel they don't have the luxury, so they don't trust it. So they might get the nudge, but then they're like, well, my husband would say no, or we can't because of work, or our family's here, or we've always lived here. And we had people in this course up and moving. We had so much movement. I had just moved when I started the course. We had people selling their homes, up and moving, because you're getting the nudges, but so many people make excuses why they can't. But if you can trust that.
Yep, we had the most incredible transformations in this group. People were just, selling their homes, moving across the country, and trusting the what was happening for their inner authority, and knowing that your inner authority is going to guide you to the right place and the right life purpose and the right location when you know a little bit about how that inner authority works. I mean, for me personally, I had sold my condo right before the lockdown. And it was like, had I waited one more month or whatever, I would not have gotten. I mean, now the prices have rebounded, but at that time, it was just like, such a great time. And for me, it was the invitation had gone away. And so I was like, the invitation's gone, let's go. Even though, maybe people would have told me not to do that at that time for an investment. So it really is. It's incredible to watch, and incredible to watch how people, when they're getting those urges and they actually trust it, it's amazing. And so talk a little bit about this next level, the mind, where the view and the motivation, and what came forward for you on those two.
Yeah, and I went through something very similar. I had decided to make a move. I knew I needed to, and we didn't know COVID was coming yet. And it was like the first weekend they were starting to lock things down. But I could see once I got in this course that I kept following what I needed. It would not have made sense to the average person.
Yep.
And yet when I followed what was true for me, it all worked out. And I got where I needed to go, because they kept saying, oh, it's just going to be 2 weeks, a year and a half later. But
Yep.
I made the moves I needed. So I ended up where I needed to be through it all. And because I moved where I needed to be, my business last year boomed.
Yep.
And the more I fine-tuned all this, it really kept me on track. The next two are interesting because it's our perspective. And you were teaching us how you have a view of the world that's correct for you. And what I found fascinating, you showed us, based on our own design, what we are designed to actually see and what we're meant not to see, and how everyone is different. And then the distraction, and you showed how so many people are living in their distraction, and that leads you away from fulfilling your unique purpose. And I remember when we were sharing about these parts, I was having all these ahas about my business. Again, when people would try to tweak, this could be a better niche for you. This niche could pay you more money. You could do this now. And sometimes I'd say, oh yeah, that's what's selling right now. And I can do that. And I would go do it. And I would think, why are people not buying it? And then you think something's wrong with you. But my perspective is need. And I saw where I always respond to what people need. And when I do that, and then we went back and looked at, even I was a therapist for a decade, and I was always serving people at need. People needed shelter, food, clothing, they needed safety, all of those things. And you talked about how your energy is wasted when you get caught in the distraction. And so my distraction is want. So every time I tried to respond, well, what do y'all want? But I am programmed to see people's need. And you said, what I'm here to see. And if I know what that is, then I can do something really special with that seeing. And then I'm programmed to respond to need. And it just opened it up again. Well, of course, that's what I've done my whole life, no matter where I've lived. So why wouldn't I do that in my business?
Yes. And that is the interesting thing, how easy it is to gather just a little bit of knowledge, gathering like a little bit of knowledge about your motivation gives you so much clarity around those places that can trip you up. And that's what I love so much about human design. It's like, now so need is specific. You don't have to worry about all those other things. You're going to worry about what needs to happen. You're going to worry about the needs of your clients. And so the minute someone brings up the way other people are doing it, or the way, like you said, how the market is selling, it's like, now you can really sort through everything that isn't correct for you and bring it into that place that uh is going to align, not only in something that's easier, so it's going to be so much easier for you, so much less energy, but that's going to be successful. And it's
Because
amazing. Go
I'm
ahead.
designed to respond to need in every area. And when I stay true to that, instead of other things, it works for me. And it was interesting because when I saw everything coming last year and some people were pulling back or shutting down, and I had just made this move to a place that was really supporting me. And of course, then Spirit just opened all the doors and all roads led here. I said to myself really strongly, right now, I'm going to run to the front lines and I'm going to sell people whatever I have that they need in this moment. And it was effortless. People were just showing up. I got dozens of new clients. I had all this money flowing in because I was responding to need, and everybody's need was different. But I didn't say, I'm going to run to the front lines and I'm going to sell one thing. I said, I am going to sell whatever people need right now that I have. And it was the best strategy I've ever had. And that's not a strategy someone would make for you, but then I was able to see it works for me because it's my design.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and this is why it's so important, I think, in the coaching industry, just to even integrate enough that people understand we're not all going to manifest in the same way. We're not all going to have success in the same way. Every business is going to be just a little bit different. And this is where people really get the opportunities to come alive and to let their businesses shine in their own unique way. So cool. I love hearing your journey and your business. And, while we're kind of wrapping up this talk, tell me a little bit about your business and like let people know, because I think, you have so much to offer the world. And so share a little bit about what you do and your business and your books, and let's share it with the world.
Okay, thank you. Yes. So I'm a spiritual business expert and spiritual coach because I was once the stereotypical broke healer, went out there to create a business responding to what people need, but I didn't understand business and I had a lot of hangups about money, and I learned the hard way. My first business, which was a local healing center, I ended up having to close down, but then I went back in, I found coaches and mentors and examples. And so then healers started asking me to help them learn how to build their business. I've written books that support my business. So I help my clients write books and I help them. I speak on stages, I teach and coach, and I love spiritual coaches. And some of my spiritual coaches use human design. It's such a great tool. And spiritual coaches are bringing all your gifts to the table and then serving, again, responding to where people are and what they need. And so I really love the coaching world. And I took what was in the coaching world and brought it to the healing world because there were a lot of strategies and mindset that were needed. And then I also, over time, have continued to develop my own gifts, my intuitive and healing gifts. So I also train a lot of intuitives and healers to use their gifts, to monetize their gifts, to build a personality branded platform, and then to take their message out into the world in a way that's profitable and sustainable.
Yeah. Yeah. And you have a lot of gifts as a channel too. Isn't that right?
Yes, definitely. As a medium, as a psychic, as a healer, and as a channel. And I've continued to grow and develop those. And then I started getting more and more mediums as my clients. So I have a lot of mediums as clients, a lot of psychics, and a lot of healers. And then I get lots of therapists who want to do coaching. I even get a lot of lawyers. It's interesting. Nurses, all the people that are intuitive and they want to use their gifts in a different way. I help my clients write their books to support their business and just to be out in the world with their gifts.
That's huge. That's huge. And it is really needed. The spiritual healer. And that's why, for me as well, I think it's really important to bring the spiritual message out because it's so oftentimes shut down in this old notion that the spiritual work shouldn't be also the abundant work. And the spiritual teachers shouldn't be the millionaires on the planet. They should be the ones who are penniless and serving and, this kind of thing. And I think that notion is here to be transformed because we need to put some power in the pockets of those people that are really doing good and transforming the planet.
I'm very much with you on that. Yes, very much. You and I share that passion, and we've seen so much of it. You attract a lot of intuitives and healers and helpers into your world as well. And I think human design has been such a powerful tool for me. And what's so good is I don't teach human design and I don't do human design in that way like what you offer. But because I have the frame of reference, when
Yes.
my clients get human design readings and things, I'm able to bring that understanding and help apply that. Now I want to know, and now I'll be able to look at the radical transformations and say, oh, what's going on with my clients at an even deeper level? I always want to know the basic, what's driving them, so it helps them in their business. And it applies to your life as well. It's so funny because my granddaughter was born last year. She was actually a year old yesterday. And this is such a powerful tool for me now that the minute she was born and I knew her birth time, I ran her chart so I could begin to understand that with her in a way that I didn't with my children early on.
That's so huge. And that is really what human design, the basis of it is for the children. Because, oftentimes Ra would say, most of us are very conditioned and it's very different to start out knowing your design. I mean, I know my life would have been completely different had I known I was a projector, completely different.
We can look back now. I was just
Yeah.
thinking the other day, wow, in high school, if I had understood the projector piece, I could have created success instead of a lot of what I went through in those early years. Just we can look back and think, wow, how different that could be.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And that's the gift you give your grandchildren, and congratulations, by the way, on her.
Yes, thank you.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for this. And thank you so much for sharing your journey. It's incredibly inspiring. And I'm very, very grateful to have shared this journey with you.
Yes, thank you so much, because you gave me that whole next level. And I love now that I've seen the 4 radical transformations and how you're focusing on them. And you took us through this almost year-long experiment where you're actually gathering the case studies and we're applying it. And now you can take this out there and really offer it to so many more people. It's such a deeper level. And I see where it can impact things in a whole new way.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, it was such an incredible journey, and watching everybody's lives change so radically for
In
their
real time, people
real.
were shifting and changing. Even with the first one, when we started giving people permission to eat the way they're designed to eat or to change it, it just started having radical change in their lives in every area, because your vehicle becomes more streamlined so it can do what it needs to do.
Yeah. 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 So, so powerful. Beautiful. Well, thank you so much. Is there anything else you want to share?
Just, I'm on Facebook. I'd love to connect at michellebarr.com or at Michelle B. Barr on Facebook. And I'm excited to continue this journey and connect with your community in all of that. So thank you so much.
Yeah, and I will. I'll put links in the description. So if anyone wants to check out what Michelle is doing, she's incredible, and you will be able to access her in the links below.
Great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Michelle, and have a wonderful rest of your. What day are we? Wednesday. Have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday.
You too.
All right. Thank you so much. And bye, everyone. Check out the description below. We'll have some links for you and more information about the 4 radical transformations if you're curious about those as well. All right.